we have Terry Quinn of Terry Quinn and the Weasels. The song we're going to hear right now, Down in a Hole. Listen up on LP Rock. And that song was Down in a Hole by Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Right now with us, we have our special guest, Terry Quinn. He's in the house. Hey, Terry, what's up?
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, I'm glad you're with us, man. So Down in a Hole, man, what a cool song that is, man. What inspired you to do that song there?
Gee, I don't know. It just kind of came. They all just, I do write songs sometimes, but if I just kind of let them come to me, they seem to be better, less contrived or something. And that is, like I'm going to say about all of them tonight, that one particularly was just an observation of certain things, and wordplay and stuff. But obviously, it's a hard luck song, you know.
Yeah, it is. Well, Down in the Hole says it all. Hey, when did you first realize that music was your calling?
Well, I'm not sure if it was just like, I mean, what time is it now? You know what I mean? Because music is such a weird thing. I started playing when I was 10, and I knew at 3 I didn't know what was going on, but I heard my parents, my family was very musical. My Uncle Dan um, used to bring over recording equipment when he would come when I was very young, and music that he liked, and then guitars. But I didn't understand anything other than I was attracted to those things. Um, from day one, I remember just like, before I was big enough to play the things, I would like if you sat in a big chair, and you have the things to put your hands on. I'm little, and
Right.
that guitar would come, and I can remember it would just lay there, and I would be like very interested in playing that guitar. Um, I always thought that was kind of interesting that I was into it um, so young. And then when I was 10, I just begged my father to, and I guess I'd begged him a lot before that, but he he got me a steel guitar.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so
Yeah.
I just knew it was a guitar, and so I didn't know um, that it was, not really something. I probably wasn't going to go into steel guitar playing as a profession, but like I said, I started at 10. I My whole family was pretty musical. All my cousins, me and my cousins started a band at 12. We're playing. I'm still not thinking anything other than I'm a kid, and I used to think sometimes, well, this is my part-time job. I hear people get. And so we would play, and we played, you know, just kind of that's what we do. We didn't even think about it too much. We didn't go, hey, let's get.
You kind of have a soulful tone to your music. It's edgy. It's got a soulful tone
Thank
to
you.
it. I mean, so you moved to LA from Mississippi. Now you're talking about the steel guitar a moment ago,
Yeah.
and of course we know that's some music. That's a musical instrument of the South. Now you
Yes.
moved to LA from Mississippi. I mean, this is quite a change for you. I mean, what sparked you to go to LA, as many did back in the day, man?
Well, when I was 17, my parents said, it's growing up. You got to figure out what you're going to do with your life, and you better like what you like because you're going to do it forever. And I thought rock star, and that didn't work out as well as I had hoped. But I immediately moved to LA, thinking it's either LA or New York, but I don't have a coat big enough for New York. So I moved to LA, and yes, it's a culture shock. It was just the first night I got here. It's a big city. I come from a very small town, and it's a big city. And I remember getting into town, scared that my guitars were going to be stolen. This place I've heard so much about it, and I turned the TV on. They said go to Santa Monica. So I go, where should I live? Where's a good place to live? And they said, well, Santa Monica is a cool place. So
Yeah.
I saw the Santa Monica freeway. I didn't know how to get anywhere, but I drove there. And then I got off on Santa Monica Boulevard. You lived out here. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Got me a motel room, and it turned on the TV, and it said "Woman's Head Found in Dumpster." And I'm like, oh my God, the big city.
Welcome to LA, my brother.
I was lost. It was the freeways. If you got off on the wrong thing. You went for miles. It was pretty tough. I immediately see. I was coming from a background of pay me. I'm playing tonight, pay me, and looking for that kind of a thing. And when I first got to town, I got in a band called the Ernie Todd Review, simply because I was trying to look for bands that paid, and so I didn't know what I was getting into, but I was getting into an R&B group that was fronted by everyone in the band was black, and they wanted me in the band because they could get more money with a mixed group. They told me I'm young, I don't know, but mixed group, and I'm not really much of a. I mean, right now I do a lot of R&B, but it was kind of like a badge of honor. I immediately got paid doing it and had fun playing with these black guys, just a blast. uh, then I met Tom Petty's friend and drummer, and he goes, "I'm gonna tell you a secret, but you can't tell anybody." And I go, "Okay." He goes, "Listen, you don't want to be doing this cover stuff. What you want to do is originals. They just give you money.
Yes.
Those record companies." He goes, "When I was with Tom, they just would just give me money, and I would just uh, uh, go there and get it." Now I found out later that wasn't completely true, but yeah, it was a an adult dose coming to LA from
Yes, it
Mississippi.
was. Hey, so right now we're going to cue up the song "Rock and Roll Guitar Player." Let's talk about the song for a second here. I mean, it's really, really cool. The videos are all over YouTube, and I want to really touch on this "Rock and Roll Guitar Player." Let's talk about this.
Okay. Well, that's a song that, we just, we jam in the studio and stuff, and we're jamming out a rock and roll song. And then that one just kind of turned into the truth, which is, that's kind of like the way it is. Every line in that song has is something I've done, drive all night, sleep in my car, trying to get to the next gig. Um,
Right.
all fun things, not bad things at all, but that's just all about the truth. it
Well,
ain't
we're going
it,
to go ahead and play a little truth right now. Everybody
okay.
listening to the LP Rock Radio Show right now, we're in studio right now with Terry Quinn of Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Right now, we're going to cue up "Rock and Roll Guitar Player." Hang on LP Rock. And that was Rock and Roll Guitar Player. You're listening to the LP Rock Radio Show. Right now, we're with Terry Quinn of Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Hey, Terry, let's turn back the hands of time for a moment. I remember living in LA, as you touched on earlier, back in the 80s, and I heard you on KLOS radio, man. Okay, now you were playing for Rebel Faction back in the day. What was it like being an LA band in the 80s? I mean, the vibe, everything was going on. How did you get with Rebel Faction? What was it like?
Well, you're right. It was the center of the universe for
Mm-hmm.
rock and hairspray bands, right? Um, so it was a blast. Rebel Faction was um, guys that I had played with as a teenager. These were guys that had came out after I came out, and like I said, I kind of got a taste of what's going on here. Where at least we put a band together, which is always better to play with your friends. It's always easier, and we had a lot of good luck. The KLOS thing, movies. It was a good time to be in LA. You know.
Yeah, and you know that movie you're talking about was that movie you were talking about was. Hey, hold on. So when you were with Rebel Faction, the song "Burnin'" opened up some doors for you. You were talking about movies. Let's touch on movies for a moment.
It did. I don't know if that's our best song, but it's our certainly most our most successful song. It's we were lucky enough to get it in a movie, which led to us being in movies, which led to other songs getting in movies, and that tune was in a lot of movies. They would always pick that one for some reason. Um, but yes, when that one certainly opened doors for us, we still benefit from that today. Uh, at the
I
time,
bet because that was a cult movie for any skateboarder who remembers the movie Thrashing.
thrashing, yes, yes, another lucky break. Um, I guess that was our first song, I guess, and you know, back then, I guess right now that'd be good, but that was a cool thing. We're kids from Mississippi, and we're going to the premiere of it, and there's this guy named Josh Brolin, who we know his daddy used to do something in the movies, and he's the star of it. And then it turns out that, yeah, every skateboarder uh, watches that movie and burns their ramp to our song. And so it's
I
cool.
yeah, it is cool. I still remember it. And if you guys have you've ever watched the movie Thrashing, right now you're going to go ahead and hear that song that was from the movie Thrashing called Burning Right Now by Rebel Faction with Terry Quinn, right here at LP Rock. Listen up. And that was Burning by Rebel Faction with Terry Quinn of Terry Quinn of the Weasels we have in the studio with us right now. Hey, Terry, who are some of the bands you shared the stage with? You talked earlier about Tom Petty, and you touched on that a bit. Who are some of the bands you shared the stage with over the years?
Well, the 80s ended in the 90s, I would say, when Nirvana blew it out of the water and everybody packed up in their tents and moved up to Seattle, we played with you name it, and we played with them because in the 80s, we played almost every night. We played at all those gigs, and those bands were on the Strip. The Sunset Strip was really big then, and it still is. We did the Key Club other night, and I got my car boxed in to where I had to sit there all night long after I played. And then it became 2 o'clock in the morning, and then the street was packed. I was amazed of just crazy people. But back then, it was more of a, I don't know, for me, since I was really in that scene, crazier. But we played with you name it, we played with them. Van Halen, Motley Crue. We had kind of of course, I mean, they beat us, but competition with those fellows. They were good guys, and everybody was pretty nice.
Let me interject something. Where would you play with like Van Halen and the Crew? Would you play them at Rainbow Room, the Ken House? Where?
No, we were lucky to get a manager that could get us these things, and they hooked up with his manager, and we did a gig in Phoenix, Arizona, like one of our first things. And then Motley Crue would do gigs. Rat, they would do gigs at you remember Madame Wong's, that kind of a thing. We pretty much all those guys, were really nice, and everybody hung out and interchanged in bands sometimes. Very good time, very fun.
I mean, you have not slowed down at all. In fact, you're still performing at venues, man. You got a video catalog that makes people just jealous, man. You got a fan base that I find fascinating. As an artist, do you find that music just comes naturally to you?
Well, I used to say to people, and I don't know nothing. I just talk, and that's what I'm doing, is talking. Not that it's always, I look back and I'm not sure if it's true, but I used to tell people, look, if I can play guitar, anybody can. I mean, this is hard stuff, man. I put a lot of work into it, but and I guess it is, but it doesn't come very hard these days. Uh, it's more. It's turned into almost a. Since I've been doing it since I was 10. See, which I don't know. Does that mean I'm thinking sometimes? Well, I'm stunted emotionally because I'm still 10, but and I'm still doing the same thing. I rehearse, I gig, and but yeah, I might not do it on the scale that we did in the 80s. That was a different time and a different for the internet and stuff. But it comes real easy to me. I got to admit, it's not real hard to get the songs, and that's kind of the main thing with this.
And you do a really good job of it with it. I've read many positive reviews. These positive reviews are from the LA Times on down the line. But while I have you here, what can one expect when they come to one of your live shows? If I'm going to hit a live Terry Quinn and the Weasel show, what would I expect?
Well, for instance, we're always changing, but what you will get for sure, and we have kind of a fan base that wants to hear the stuff we've cut within the last 5 or so years. So we do that, and then sometimes we, depending on how long the show is, we did some Laughlin, Nevada shows this weekend, and we would do 3 hours, and so we'll put a little R&B set in there. We'll do a little Muddy Waters maybe, that kind of thing. And we were doing that lately just because we find it fun and interesting. But our thing, if you come see us, it's loud, it's guitar rock, and it's a fast and high energy kind of a thing.
High energy basically says it all. Right now we're with Terry Quinn and the Weasels. You're listening to the LP Rock Radio Show. Hey, we're going to close right now with a song, I Must Have Been Dreaming. Let's discuss this song, Terry.
Well, this is one of our new songs. Like I said, what we do is we go back to the old, I guess back to the old thing, but we do albums every so often, but we do singles almost every few months. And this isn't our latest single, but it was one before this, and once again, it just kind of came out, and we got a lot of good, positive feedback on it. But it rocks, and then it also kind of, you know, I'm not really a good judge, but a lot of people tell me that it kind of they can identify with it, and that's really what you want is if they can identify with the music. But it's a song that started this way. Maybe you want to say poppy love song, which is something we really don't do a lot of. Uh, but then it turned into a rock song accidentally somehow.
So now we leave you with this. Everybody listen up right now to I Must Have Been Dreaming. Terry, we thank you so much for being with us tonight, man.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. Anytime. I really appreciate it.
All right, everybody listening to the LP Rock Radio Show. This was a special edition with Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Go ahead and check them out on Facebook. Give them a like the music. Turn it up. Let's rock with I Must Have Been Dreaming by Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Terry, if you just say one last thing here. You're listening to LP Rock. Throw some in there like you're listening to LP Rock. This is Terry Quinn. Let's rock. Something like that.
This is Terry Quinn and of Terry Quinn and the Weasels. You listen to LP Rock, and they rock, and you rock, and we listen to them.
All right, here we go. There we go. Boom, boom. That's a cut. That's a wrap. What I'm going to do, Terry, is I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Hang on. Boom, boom, boom. Say that up. So what I'm going to do, Terry, is I'm going to go ahead and work on this, and we can plan on this airing Friday.
Okay, great.
What I want to do is, if you would, I wonder if I should just go ahead and go through your page, I don't know, and find a picture. And what I want to do is put it on the station page, and then I'm going to go ahead and tag you, your personal page in it, and you can tag whoever friends you have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We keep the tags together.
Yes.
That makes these likes just escalate. As long as we don't, it's when people hit share is when it screws it up. But I mean, you'll have that. People will do that. But I mean, as long as we hit, like if I tag you and then you tag say 7 other people or something like that, and they in turn tag 7 other people, that keeps all these likes together.
Okay.
And people look at them and they go, Terry Quinn, what's this? How come he has 50 or 100 likes? Who is this guy? And they want to tune in. You see?
Yes.
So we'll do that, and then I'll boost the post on LP Rock. I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
All right. So you see, I promote it, and I will promote it. As soon as you give me anything, I will promote the crap out of it. But you're saying don't share it, but to tag people would probably be better.
That's the trick.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the trick right there. Yeah. So in other words, like one little helpful hint that'll help you if you don't know this. I don't know if you do. Is if you were to start a post on Terry Quinn and the Weasels, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's your band page. That's not an add a friend page, right?
Right.
Okay, so you start a post on say Terry Quinn and the Weasels as an instance. Like I would start one on LP Rock. But what I do is I start on LP Rock, then I go in as myself after I've started the post going, and I got to go in and roll it and everything like that. Then I go in as myself, and I'm able to tag people. Boom, boom, boom. They're on my friends list. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And as long as those friends know to go ahead and accept the tag on their page, then it gets seen by all of their friends. You see what I'm saying?
All right. Okay.
That's the semantics behind this, is to go ahead and actually get the person to, because a lot of people now, they have the Facebook blocked to where they won't accept, because people have been putting like obnoxious crap on their pages and stuff like that, so they block their pages to where only they got to look at it, accept the tag, and let it be posted on their page.
Yes.
So prep your friends, those that are in the know and know a lot of people that are in your genre of music and enjoy your music, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of give them a heads up, like this is what's going to be happening, and I'm going to be tagging you. This way you won't be ticking them off, and they'll know to go ahead and accept the tag. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be able to tag. I had one band tag. When I did Johnny Giolelli, he tagged all kinds of people, man. I was like, man, they tag like 40 people. But I mean, do that. He had 108 likes, and then he had like a bunch of shares. And Paul Diano, he did the same kind of freaking thing, but he had a bunch of shares to where his likes were.
Diluted.
Paul Diano's an enigma of himself, because he was a starter of Iron Maiden. But I mean,
Oh,
he had a guy that managed his page, and the guy I tried to tell him about this, and he was from England, and he didn't really want to listen to a guy from America, But that's just the way it is, man.
so sharing dilutes your the
Yes.
okay. I'm glad you told me that. I'm from America, and so I am glad to hear that.
Yeah, so to you, to help you moving forward, even after I get off the mic here with you and everything like that, moving forward, Terry Quinn starts a post, and Terry Quinn goes ahead and tags his friends in LA as himself. Because once you start the post on the Terry Quinn and the Weasels fan page,
Yes.
it's going to go right to your personal page, and you'll see the globe, and it'll say one, and you'll click on it, and it'll say Terry Quinn has added blah blah blah.
Okay.
Go ahead and tag your friends, and then you go ahead and click on it, go over there, and boom, you click on the picture, and then when you click on the picture, your friends' names will pop up, and you just go ahead and just start putting their names in. Boom,
Now
boom, boom, boom.
I'll start that on my page, tag a bunch of people. It'll immediately go to my page, and then I can add
Yeah,
people later too.
yeah. So here's what I'm going to do: is I'm going to start it off on the station page. Probably tomorrow, I'll orchestrate this and get this together, and I'll come up with some phrasing and stuff like that, and then I'll go ahead and I'll have a picture that I'll find of yours that's not been used a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because if you
Right.
get a picture that's been used a ton of times, the people will be like, I've already seen this.
Well,
We're
yeah.
trying to find a picture
They'll think
of
it's
you.
something else. They'll think it's whatever they saw before promoting. Yes, you're right.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I like to go in and I like to find a picture of somebody that has not been used a lot, or maybe it was used but a long time down the timeline, and I go ahead and I use that as the main post
Okay.
on the
Yes.
station page. Then I go in as myself, and then I tag, like I will tag Terry Quinn, and then you can go ahead and tag whoever you want to as Terry Quinn.
So I'll wait
And
for
then just
you to
let that
tag.
thing roll.
You'll tag me. I'll tag a bunch of people. And if I
Yeah.
tag them today, I can tag some more people tomorrow, right?
Right. So just be thinking about who you're going to tag, because and if you have issues on doing it, we can converse on the phone while I'm at work at my store. We can go ahead and converse on the phone and talk about how we can get this thing rolling for you.
I'd appreciate it if I'm doing something wrong or you have any suggestions. I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And then and then a share will have to happen onto the Terry Quinn page, because you'll be sharing off of LP Rock, but that's cool. But the main thing is we want the people that are on the LP Rock site to know Terry Quinn actually has followers. And so when I started on that station page, and I tag you and you tag all of your friends, then that's going to all go to the LP Rock site. It's
Okay.
like a pyramid scheme, basically, is what it is.
Good. That's good.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
No, I think that I'm so glad you told me that. It'll be very productive, and yeah, I will promote the crap out of it. It's good for me and it's for everyone.
Yeah,
I
it gets your
appreciate it.
music out there, and it helps the station, helps you, helps everybody.
Yeah. No, I
I know it.
appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. I really do.
All right, dude, I'm going to go ahead and get rolling, and then I'm going to go ahead and get working on this, and then I'm going to go ahead, and when I get done, I'll send you a link to your email where you can listen to the finished product.
Okay.
And if there's anything we need to change, I can change it in and out of my Mixcraft program whenever we're done.
I like it
It'll all be
already.
good, dude.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. This is cool as hell, and
Yeah.
give it to me, and I will tag it till the cows come home.
Till doomsday. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll start tagging you tomorrow, man. Look forward tomorrow morning about, let's see, when you wake up, because it'll be about 10 o'clock my time. Shoot, you're in California, it'll be 7 your time, but I mean, I'll probably have it up and rolling about 10 o'clock or so.
Okay. All right. On your page, I'll be tagged, and I'm gonna start tagging. That's
Yeah,
that's
it's
super.
gonna go from the LP. It's gonna be a tag from LP Rock from Scott Edwards, and then you're gonna go ahead and try to tag your friends in and out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm curious to see. See, I always have great luck with this promoting thing. The fan base is just very loyal and very cool and nice. So I'm curious to see what we can do with this.
Yeah, and sometimes on a to let you know, sometimes when you go ahead and even do a boost, you don't have to throw $100 in a boost. You know what I'm saying? You can boost a post like $20, and it'll fly all over the place. You
Yes.
can designate it where it's going to go, like
Yes.
to the United States. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and work on this and get it promoted and get it pushed, and hopefully we'll have some listeners for it on Friday and some people that have not heard you.
That'll be
kind of
super.
cool.
Be really cool.
All right, Terry. Hey, take care, okay, brother?
You too. Thank you so much, Scott, and I will be looking forward to your thing tomorrow, and we'll start getting this going.
You got it, bro.
All right. You have a good day, pal. Thank you.
You too.